And you're now live.
Brilliant. Thank you, Aisha. Welcome everyone to our FBS chat today with John Henden from the lovely county of Somerset. Thank you, John, for spending this hour with us. I really appreciate it. As always, I don't know much about our guest, not because I'm ignorant, but because I want to remain curious. So tell us a bit about how you came across the solution-focused approach, John, in the first instance.
Well, yes, that's a good story behind that one. I was working in a community mental health centre at the time, and it was in the early 90s when still there were loads of training leaflets and bulletins used to come through across health, social services and education, and you could look at these things and think, oh, I'll go to that or won't go to that. And there were limitless budgets, it seemed, for spending on people wanting to go on conferences, workshops, etc. So I saw one from Brief Therapy Practice, as they were then, which is now Brief, as you know, Chris Ives, Evan George and Harvey Ratner. And this was an introduction to solution-focused brief therapy. And the speaker was going to be none other than Steve DeShazer. And
wow.
It was hosted in, I think it was the Institute of Child Health in Tavistock Square in London. And so I signed up for this 2-day workshop. And while I was there, I was sat next to none other than Mark McCurgo and Jenny Clark. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But there were about 400 of us there. I mean, it was packed, this auditorium, with people from probation, education, social work, psychology, medicine, you name it, they were there. And suddenly out of the shadows and this huge stage in front of this auditorium came this fellow with his hand sort of in his pocket, sort of his jacket pocket, sort of like this. And then he turned to the audience and took in all 400 people and then said, "Any questions?"
Wow.
And you could have cut the air with a knife, you know, the disbelief, dismay from people with their pens poised on their clipboards, waiting to take down the pearls of wisdom. Anyway, he handled it beautifully. You know, he waited, and then someone asked a question. And then he used each question to illustrate one of the solution-focused techniques, tools, or principles or basic assumptions. So it was a riveting 2-day workshop. And so going back to Mark and Jenny, I got chatting to them and they said, oh, we're from Bristol. And we are in the Bristol Solutions Group. Would you like to join? Come along. And so that was really the start of my getting involved locally in Bristol with all sorts of solution-focused initiatives. And each of us, about 10 of us there, we used to, probably not that much, but not that many, about 8 or 9. And we used to present to each other at each meeting something we were doing that was solution-focused. Anyway, going back to the 2-day workshop, on the train on the way back, I thought, I've just seen the light here. You know, I've been working in mental health and psychological services since the late 70s. And this to me was a revelation. I thought the potential of this approach for working with not just the run-of-the-mill, you know, relationship difficulties, anxiety, very, very low mood, etc., but also with the tough end. So with
hello.
And with the
sorry,
real tough.
I've got huge problems with my internet here, so I'm on the phone now.
Good evening, Rob.
We were just talking about you, Rob. So
sorry.
Yeah.
Right on cue. I had no idea it was going to be you, but I'm just saying how wonderful your podcast was from a couple or 3 weeks ago.
Good evening,
Okay,
Rob.
well,
Thank you for joining
As
us.
usual, John. Just great to see you again. I'm really sorry, my internet's really bad at home, so my laptop's crashed, so I was panicking, but I'll do it on my phone. It's fine.
Don't
Sorry, John.
worry.
No, it worked. We're here. Fantastic. And I was just saying, relating the tale of how I got involved with Solution Focused, and all started in 1993 with a 2-day workshop with Steve DeShazer. And I was just saying, on the train on the way back, I thought this has great potential. And so I started using it with people who are highly suicidal, who are coming into this mental health centre, and also with people who are either adult survivors of child abuse and neglect or adult survivors of adult trauma, like RTAs, sudden death, near-death experiences, etc. And the results, unbelievable. And I can honestly say I haven't heard of one suicide from anyone I've trained or people I've worked with when they have been at the receiving end of the solution-focused approach to suicide prevention.
It's amazing.
And, you might ask, well, why isn't it being rolled out across the whole NHS? Well, if you get me onto that one, we'll need more than an hour, Joe.
We might get onto that a bit
5
later,
hours,
John.
John.
Because I know you were saying that when you were in the community mental health, you got lots of invitations to join training events.
Yeah.
When you saw this solution-focused approach, did something stick out for you, or was it just, you know what, I'm just going to join another one because I've done all the others, I might as well go for this?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I was involved in 2 family therapy clinics at the time, and I was a trainee in a systemic family therapy clinic and what's the other word I'm looking for? Anyway, the other one. So I was involved and they're both brief therapy, obviously, and strategic. And so we were doing brief therapy already. So when I heard solution-focused brief therapy, I thought, oh, it's obviously an extension of it, which of course it is. Goes back to what MRI were doing, and the Milan School and stuff, and Jay Haley and those Paul Václavic and those people. So and I found I was using the techniques also as an add-on, if you like, in these 2 family therapy clinics.
Wow. And you were talking about the first time that at this the 2-day conference where Steve DeShazer came on and just said, any questions? Do you remember what the first question was, John? Do you remember what people asked?
I was just so immersed in processing the dismay and disappointment in the room. I'm looking around at people, thinking, oh, I've paid £100 to come here, and and this fella who's supposed to be the great teacher asks a question right at the beginning that normally he would ask at the end, or anyone else would ask at the end of some training.
I don't
remember.
And I think was this the conference?
Sorry, having huge conversation. Sorry.
That's all right,
John. Was this the conference arranged by Brief, John?
Yes, it was a 2-day workshop, and Brief organised it. They arranged quite a few, actually. I went to another couple after that, I think, one by Yvonne Dolan, which completely blew my mind. And Yvonne is such a lovely person, great teacher, like myself, is an adult survivor, and she wrote that wonderful book. It was first of all called One Small Step, and then renamed to Beyond Survival, Living Well is the Best Revenge.
I love it.
And she talks a lot about thriving, what it means to thrive, and that's what I help my clients to do, not just survive what's happened to them, but live life to the full, which is such fantastic news, and the sort of news that is not imparted in most mental health units, provider units, sadly.
Hold on, Joe, sorry. Rob, thank you for joining us. I know you've got some internet problems, and I don't
Sorry,
know
I've got
if
trying to sort them out. Yeah,
that's all right. But when you can, and then if you want to, just jump in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just tell Joe to be quiet, and then just jump
in.
Obviously I know John we've met many times over lots of conferences and workshops, but I'm just trying to get a sense of, so what attracted you to work in the field of suicide prevention?
Well, that's a good question, Rob. For many years, working as a practitioner in NHS mental health services, every now and then there'll be advertised a talk or lecture on suicide prevention. And I'd turn up thinking, there's going to be some really good stuff here. But what do we hear? All the demographic data, the means that people use, the statistics, this, that, and the other, all about aspects of suicide and the suicide bereaved, and all that stuff. But nothing, or perhaps a couple of sentences only, on what you do to prevent it, which is why I went to those workshops. And, working in, I was working in this community mental health centre at the time, and we had this wonderful service which we provided to a mixed urban and rural patch, served by about 37, 38 GPs. And these GPs could refer their highly suicidal clients from surgery to this crisis slot, which is always in the middle of the day, Monday to Friday. They could refer them at 9:30 and they'd be seen at 12:30 by us. We didn't have one suicide in that crisis service, yet in the other parts of the mental health trust, so inpatients, outpatients, and recently discharged patients, there was something like 4 or 5 suicides every year. So we asked ourselves the question, a solution-focused question: what works? What are we doing here that's working? And what we were doing, we were being respectful to clients. We were acknowledging and validating their terrible feelings that they're experiencing. And we were co-constructing solutions such that they could get their lives back on track. And so from those days, I thought, right, we got to start training people in this. And I've now been running workshops, 2-day workshops on suicide prevention in something like 20 countries now worldwide for about the last 22 years. And it's been a delight to meet people and hear their stories, and also to get the emails later. Just remember I was on your workshop in Singapore or whatever. I've got to tell you this story. And they come up with stories of highly suicidal people that they've worked with who are now not only just survived it, but they're thriving.
You know, when you said earlier, John, after the conference, you were going back on the train and there was this could work. I think this could actually work.
Yeah.
What difference did you notice in the conversations you were having with suicidal people that convinced you that actually this is actually going to work? Because you've already said that there was no suicides, yet the NHS sort of way, or whichever way of dealing with it, was 4 or 5 a year, which is massive.
Yeah.
So what is it on the train home? What made you think, you know what, this is going to work? Because me and Aisha, we were also introduced to the approach by brief.
Yeah. And
we kind of came away thinking, can this really work?
Yeah.
It seems a bit easy, seems a bit simple. Can it really? And I remember my first case where I was true to the process from start to finish and saw a difference. And I thought, yes, I know this can work. But you already had that idea on the train home. So what difference did it make to your clients when you got back?
I think it's the fact that you're right. It is so simple, and, acknowledging and validating someone's pain is basic, and complimenting clients. I mean, for coming here, meeting complete stranger, that's so powerful. And for me, those three core conditions of Carl Rogers, the acceptance, genuineness, and empathy are key in forming that relationship and getting that rapport. So I think the quick rapport building was helpful. And noticing that clients were more engaged, because they felt the empathy and felt supported and cared for by someone who wasn't just going through the motions of a therapy session, but really wanted them to live. And there's something strange, and I say this in the book, that about the importance of the first 10 minutes, how crucial this is. And it's my belief that clients come in, acutely suicidal clients who come into a session have three questions in their mind that they want answered. One is, does this person really care? Two, am I going to walk away from here with the tiniest more sort of hope that I can get through this? And the third, I've gone a blank on it, but I shall think of it for the end.
Maybe if we go through the first two, John, it might come to you. So how does the solution focus approach show the clients that we care?
I think it's the very nature of the conversation, and we're not trying to force them to do something they don't want to do. It's respectful. And if the client, for instance, with suicide prevention, working in the NHS mental health services, we used to try and stop people taking their lives by taking away ligature points, taking away their belt, their pajama cord, their safety razor, all that stuff. And that worked paradoxically against the interests of the client. So they try and get those things back. Now, with Solution Focused, we are empowering the client to make a decision. And part of that is saying, well, if you want to take your life, that's up to you. In fact, I remember one client who came in, he swung the door open and he said, okay, he said, just to let you know, I've got a 4-pack of extra strong beer in the boot of the car, a reel of tape, and I've picked the point up on the downs where I'm going to do it, So I said, well, that's a choice open to you as it is open to me when I'm up against it in life. But what we can do here is we can look at other alternatives. Would that be something you want to do? And he just sort of sat in the chair. Okay. So at no time did I take away his choice or his option, if you like, of possibly taking his life by by asphyxiation in his case.
Can I just jump in? We have a question from Gil Green.
Yes.
We love Gil. John, please
Hi,
talk
Gil.
John, please talk some about using SFT with trauma/PTSD.
Oh, yes. Well, this is the other tough end. I found that first of all, with suicide, a lot of practitioners were scared to death of having someone who had strong suicidal ideation. So avoidance was a classic strategy that practitioners would use. And invariably, people would take their lives because they didn't engage. Same with trauma. In this same community mental health centre, we did a straw poll of the 8 of us and our client caseloads at one point. And we found that 91% of the total caseload were survivors of trauma in some way or other. 91%. And this matches other research studies that have been around for a few years. So I thought, right. Solution Focus works with suicide. clients. So what about traumatized? What about survivors of near-death experiences, muggings, robberies, and adult survivors of child abuse and neglect? And as I mentioned earlier, I got immersed in Yvonne Dolan's work and went to a 2-day workshop of hers in London. And I was sold on it. I thought, Yvonne, you have such great results, and I'm hoping to emulate these results. And I think what was key for me with Yvonne's work was, she said this on the training, she said, what happens? Someone is a victim of whatever, child abuse or neglect or some form of trauma, and then they survive. And we're all about getting people to survive. But she said, what I noticed with my clients, they would have this sort of roller coaster of up, high mood, then down again, then up and down. And there's this constant wild fluctuation of mood in survivors. And she said, I had this realization. I thought there must be a third stage. And she called it living the authentic life as a third stage. And I got the word thriver from Roger Meeson, who's a solution-focused practitioner in Plymouth, Devon. And he came up to me, lovely man, Roger was. He's no longer with us now, he's passed on, but he came up to me in the workshop while they were doing an exercise. He said, John, what about thriver as living the authentic life? And I said, I think that's it. That's the word. And so helping people to thrive is so important. And, I mentioned the book earlier on when we were chatting, what it takes to thrive, techniques for severe trauma and stress recovery. And most of this book is, and certainly the last section, is about what our clients actually do to thrive. And then and having the same experience as Yvonne did with her clients, I knew there might be use for this
flip chart
behind.
I love you.
I love it, John. Go, mate.
Right, here's victim. Right, this is mood up the side and time along there. Victims, their mood is sort of like this, pretty much low most of the time. Survivors, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. For thrivers, and I've experienced this with myself, in my own life, and with my clients, it's up, it's like this. We have the ups and downs of everyday living, that's life, and as Steve Shays used to say, SH1T happens. And so, but generally speaking, the mood is up.
Yeah, and the downs are not so severe, John.
No, they're not. And so that is very affirming, and that is, it affirms us in our solution-focused practice with people who've been victims of whatever. And I've had people I've worked with who've been witnessed multiple killings or carnage of some sort or other, and they are thriving.
It's weird, isn't it, how a word can change? So you're a survivor or a thriver. What's the difference in that? Just changing that word.
Well, the surviving really is, survivor is, well, I got through it. Here I am now. I try not to let it affect my life. I do think of it from time to time, but I live my life as best I can. That's typical language of a survivor. A thriver's language is, okay, I'll never forget what happened to me or what I witnessed, but I won't let it affect my life. It's a memory which will fade over time. But I now have all these techniques which I can use in order to live the life I richly deserve. And so I am thriving.
Yeah, that makes such a difference. Now that you've explained it that way.
Yeah, big difference. Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Oh,
Shall we? I'm feeling a bit emotional.
hello,
Rob.
Rob. Where you been?
I'm trying to sort out my horrendous internet, but I've managed it. I really apologise for that. So
That's all right.
No, you look fantastic now. It's good, and you've got the bookshelves behind, which I was saying earlier, which is what I like to have.
And it's a real bookshelf as well.
Yeah, not
Rob.
like mine, Rob. It's a virtual.
It's one of
Mine's a
those
virtual.
they're all my wife's books, apart from the occasional one. Please.
Oh, I love it. Do you wanna take over, Rob?
I was just because I missed the answers to the question I asked John in terms of what attracted him to this particular field, and I kind of got a sense of working in the mental health team at the time and finding this as more helpful in terms of outcomes, and that was it really. But I don't know. I've been an admirer of John's work for a long time. Prior to kind of going into mental health, I knew John, so yeah, and we've had the pleasure to meet lots of times. And we invited him to the conference in Bath 2 years ago. So, but I just think it's a difficult area, but fascinating area, and I don't know. I just love his work, and we need more people like John influencing mental health services. I think that from my perspective.
And you were saying earlier, John, that the results that you were getting, no suicides, but the other kind of way of working was 4 or 5 a year. Given those outcomes, and maybe why has it not been taken up more widely, do you think? What is it that's holding people back?
Yeah, well, in a nutshell, I mean, the reason there were those 4 or 5 suicides every year was because people who were feeling acutely suicidal were exposed to the outmoded biomedical psychiatric paradigm, which does not help. In fact, it makes people worse. And not only have they got the problem of their strong suicidal thinking and plans, but then they get saddled with side effects from psychotropic medication, which leads them to think they're actually getting worse. Their mental illness, as they've been told they've got, is now deteriorated, is now worse. And practitioners very seldom acknowledged it was the side effects that are causing these feelings. So that's a big one. So the other part of the answer is the power exerted by big psychiatry in the biomedical model and big psychopharma. And I've been doing some work recently, and part of that work was to put in a freedom of information request for the annual drug spend, that's psychotropic drug spend for the whole of the UK. And you will be staggered to know it's in excess of £500 million every year. And I say well in excess. So it's nearing 3/4, but we hold on to that £500 million because that's a nice round number that people can get hold of.
Wow.
So, that's the short answer to the problem, if you like. So we need to displace that model and have solution-focused practitioners working in crisis, 24-hour crisis services, family therapy, couples work, early intervention strategies. And, I was talking to a customer of mine in Finland about this £500 million figure. And he said, John, that's 22 million counselling sessions.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So, and the general consensus is that psychotropic medication, I'm quoting Peter Gertcher here, who you're probably aware of, generally it makes people worse overall.
Rob, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, but I just want to ask John a question in terms of his NHS experience. Have you found it difficult for people to take you seriously in terms of what we promote?
Yeah, we're up against something here, aren't we? I mean, in the 90s and in the late, I suppose mainly in the 90s, there was a big move for solution focused practice in various centres, and there were areas of best practice building up, family therapy clinics where lots of SF people were working, community mental health centres, and but now we've got the IAPT service. Now the IAPT service helps a lot of people, we know. Some of their results or their outcomes have been contested in various quarters, and I think it's true to say that one of their exclusion criteria is strong suicidal ideation. So an IAPT counsellor can't see someone who's suicidal. And it's all about, mostly about CBT, and SFBT is generally, I think, shunned, isn't it? And
that's my experience. It's interesting, yours.
Yeah, so we have a problem here, and I know some solution-focused practitioners who've been trained in CBT as well, and they go up and they say, can I sign up to be an IAPT counsellor? And okay, as long as you use CBT, but they're using, more SF than CBT. So, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've just had Mark write something. I'll summarise it. I'll read a little bit. So when I worked, Mark Matt, who's a fantastic solution-focused practitioner. So when I worked with a mental health organisation, we had this presentation of traditional ways to work with suicidal clients. When trying to get another message across, it was not really accepted as an alternative. Of course, my colleagues were psychologists mostly, and there was his social worker coming with different ideas.
Yeah,
so,
that's my experience. I think Mark is works in South Australia.
No, he's
got the wrong Matt.
Holland.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, wrong Matt. Yes. That's my experience as well in the NHS mental health services. You're seen as some strange body with some weird ideas, and yet, for years I felt I was on the back foot. People say, oh, well, of course, solution focused is not evidence-based, is it? As if, writes it off. And other people say, well, oh, it's only sticking plaster approach, it's not really real therapy. But I was talking to an American colleague a few years ago, and he said, John, if I get that, I just get Cynthia Franklin's book out, Solution Focused Brief Therapy, Handbook of Evidence-Based Practice, and say, there's the evidence, which completely flips the coin and turns the tables, might be a better way of saying it, and puts them on the back foot because they've got to read the book then.
Yeah.
every year, Alistair MacDonald kept for years, as you know, the research on solution focus. Every year there are papers, every month there are papers coming out about the evidence base for this approach. And, I think it's only a matter of time when we reach a tipping point and people will say, this is the way forward, or a main way forward, because it actually saves lives. And more than that, this should attract the attention of the Chancellor of the Exchequer and finance directors in mental health trusts. Not only do people survive with the solution-focused approach, they, in my experience and others' experience, they go on to thrive and they don't need the system anymore. So instead of being net receivers of benefits from the state, they're now paying their taxes and are net contributors. Yeah. So, that's what we want, really, isn't it? So we don't want people, on the long-term sick because they're receiving an outmoded model which treats them as permanently mentally ill with something gone wrong with their brain. I'm getting controversial now, so I better.
Oh, it's really cool.
Oh, we love it.
I'm gonna ask a question that Emma Burns has put up, and then we'll go to Rob to ask you a follow-up question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So Emma Burns from New Zealand. Hi, Emma. We love her. Hi, John. Do you have any... Hi, John. Hi, John. Do you have any pearls of wisdom or anecdotes about how working with the SF approach increases a professional's enjoyment, love of their work, especially in areas like suicide prevention and trauma?
Oh, wonderful question, Emma. Yeah, I love the answer to this one. And I teach this on 2-day workshops, and whether it's 2-day solution focused suicide prevention or 2-day workshops on recovery from severe trauma, I say, especially to the newbies to the approach, I say, with this solution focused approach, there does come a health warning. And that is that because these techniques are so simple and effective with working with people, you will see people recover more quickly from whatever their presenting issues were. And also, you will start using the techniques and the principles and the assumptions of this approach in your family lives and in your social lives. And the knock-on effect of that is you will see that your morale rises, your self-esteem rises, and that you find you're getting greater joy out of life, and certainly working with clients as you see them improve. So this health warning is that it could actually improve the quality of your life, and worse still, it will probably promote longevity.
How dare it?
How dare you? Yeah.
How dare you? Rob, over to you.
I just, because obviously I've read your book, John, obviously, and I don't know if you've been asked this, but I've always wanted to kind of write a book, but I've never found the motivation. So what inspired you to write the book?
Well, I was a military welfare workers trainer for 20 years, and my host there, I was doing the tri-service training, basic training course for military welfare workers, and she said, could you do a half day on suicide prevention, because it has been a problem in some units. So I did a half day, and I said eventually to her, I said, look, it really needs a whole day, because I want to equip them with tools and techniques, and that needs practice. And anyway, I remember, I never forget, actually, I think I was at Her Majesty's Naval Base in Portsmouth, and there were a couple of, I was handing out, doing lots of handouts, passing them around, and a couple of the welfare workers said, John, it's no good telling us this and giving us loads of handouts. You've got to write a book on this. No pressure. You've got to write a book. And so I thought about it. I thought, yeah, I've got to put it in a book, because, I've been involved in this field for so long, and it was a good opportunity to really encapsulate all of my solution-focused training and knowledge and experience. And so I had a little chapter on all the basics of solution focus, but then how you actually apply this to a challenging group of clients.
Yeah. Great story.
So I was put under great duress, Rob, by these two welfare workers.
And it's a great, I mean, as a text, I mean, to work in this, I mean, it's well written, and it's very pragmatic, and it's, when I moved over from social work into mental health, it was one of the things that really.
Oh, it's good to hear. Thanks. Yeah, it makes hearing that, Rob, makes me think that all that burning of the midnight oil and the getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to write another chapter was well worth it.
I've see little post-it bits where I put little teaching points.
Oh, great! Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
It really helps into mental health, and maybe think about the whole idea of suicide prevention in a completely different way.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, because it's and going back to what you were saying earlier, John, about you know, that care, because you said there were three main things. There was the care, and I guess if I was if I was the NHS sending a client to you, and the client is in the role of expert, and that client says, "I want to die. I don't care what you want to say. I've made my mind up. For me, this is the solution." And as a practitioner, as a solution-focused practitioner, I guess we'd either have to go along with that, or like you said, which I've noted down, have you thought of any other alternatives?
Yeah, I think the important thing, I mean, from obviously one of the basics of solution-focused is go with the client. So if they say they're up against it, they've made a decision, they can't see a way forward, so they're going to take their life, go with them, go with that view. I'll tell you a funny story there. Have we got time?
Yeah.
I was doing a 2-day workshop in Belgium for Luc Isabert, and in his hospital St John's in Bruges, and the training room was a converted ward for psychiatric patients in the old way, and it was on the second floor. And I put this poster, it's important to go with your client before gently urging them to consider other options. And I put this between these two high windows, you see. And one of the old former members of staff came up to me and said, John, where you've put that poster is right by the window that quite a few clients used to jump out of when the staff weren't looking.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
I feel like I need to mute.
Oh, no. Oh,
anyway, the serious side is take them seriously, go with the client. And sometimes, I've had clients who've, they've lost their job, their marriage has broken up within, a couple of months, and they're absolutely skint. And then their favorite niece was killed in an RTA. They can't take any more, and I can understand that. So acknowledging and validating that suicidal thinking because of those events is the first step. And then you can say, well, okay, let's just park it for one moment. There's the suicide option. Let's just park it there. What other options could we put around here on the table that you could look at alongside the suicide option? And the trick is to get 4 or 5 and then say, okay, out of those 4 or 5, which do you think is worthy of a try first?
Love it.
So you're empowering the client to take a choice. You are not taking away their suicide option. So paradoxically, keeping it on the table there, they don't take it.
Wow.
So what you've done there, John, is exercise choice.
Yes. And empowered the client to make that choice. I haven't forced them at all.
But you've constructed a picture of the option, possibility.
Yeah.
We have another question from Mark. Sorry, Joe.
Go on. Yeah.
It's a long one. Joe, can you read that? Because you've got your glasses on and I haven't, and I'm really struggling.
Right. Can I put this to you, John? This thought about resources. If we assume that not all are connected to personal circumstances, but also about environmental circumstances, poverty, lack of resources, how to get out of that, how can we help clients with their resources and connect that to community resources? And would that have more results in preventing mental health problems? So I guess it's around what the client feels is within their realm of control, and battling against what's outside of their control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's that prayer of serenity, isn't there? Was it, Lord, give me the strength to change the things I can change, the patience to accept the things I can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And some things we can't change in life, but there are a hell of a lot of things we can change. And okay, some people I see not got much money, their circumstances are very poor. So what have they got control over? And moreover, what are their personal resources, their skills, strengths, abilities in here and in their heart that they can bring to bear on this situation? And often we're looking at small steps initially, and being realistic. We're not trying to change the world in 5 minutes or change their situation in 5 minutes, but empowering people to make choices and to using an old Ericksonian idea of utilization of those abilities to tackle what's in front of them. And I think, once we do that and once clients are on the move, then they feel better about themselves, their self-esteem goes up, their self-confidence goes up as well, and they're able to do more about that situation. And I think, that does that, if you like, they get involved in a project, then the project is themselves, and they can start to answer the other part of Mark's question there. They can then engage with community resources by utilizing their own resources as the first step.
Go on, Rob.
So do you think humour has a place in your work?
Sorry, say again?
Do you think humour has a place in your work?
Oh, all the time. Kim Berg used to say, if possible, get your client to laugh in the first session. And, I always try and do that. And of course, that if the client's laughing in the first session, you're laughing as well, which again makes you feel good about the work, doesn't it? Therapy doesn't have to be grim.
Specific field, I guess that would some people would shun that, but I just think that's such an important element in my experience working with suicidal clients. There's examples I can think of, which I was just curious.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I remember one fellow. He said he was going to jump off this 10-story car park onto some concrete, and he sort of looked at me as if maybe it'd be a bit messy, So I said, well, who would scrape it up? And he's like, I suppose the council workers, but I can't put them through it, can I? But appropriate humour, and we're laughing with the client, not at them.
I just think, I met with a young woman I've worked with for the last sort of 4 weeks, very in that kind of suicidal phase, and come to the conclusion that made that connection between drinking and how it affects her, and that by the end of the conversation, she said, well, I guess I need to stop drinking, but I like drinking, and then she just started to laugh. That's a laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've thought of the third one, Joe. You'll be pleased to know.
Oh, excellent!
Yes.
Go on, John.
He's picked up his pen.
The 3 questions that client has in their mind when they come in, a suicidal client, when they come in to see us, is 1, does this person really care?
Yeah.
2, am I going to walk out of here with just the slightest morsel of hope? And the third is, am I wasting my time here?
Right. Okay.
And they're all non-verbal, and they are looking for answers to all 3 questions within that first 10 minutes.
Yeah, completely agree.
And so the way
John,
we are answers them.
Yeah. So if I was your client within those first 10 minutes, how would you engender that hope in myself that I'd have lost?
Well, I would say something like, Joe, it's okay to call you Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's coming to see a complete stranger today is a real challenge. So well done for doing that and biting the bullet and coming to see me today. And, I'd be leaning forward slightly in the chair, which shows interest. Anything you said about how terrible things were, I'd be acknowledging and validating, and I'd be normalizing it. I say to people, if we did a survey of everyone out there in the street through that window and asking them if they felt suicidal, even just for a split second during their lifetime when things have gone wrong, over 97% would say yes. So what your experience is normal. So that helps. And then, of course, once you've got that rapport, then, and that has to be achieved within those 10 minutes, and then trust starts to build. And of course, trust can't build until rapport is in place. And then once you've got trust, then you've got a working relationship.
Yeah.
And the good news is that setting a client, a suicidal client, a task after that first session, giving the appointment for the second session, they always turn up for the second session.
I love this conversation.
Absolutely love that. There are some exceptions.
Yeah.
That don't turn up. And that is those that phone the day before and say, look, mate, thanks ever so much for seeing me last week. I can't tell you how things have moved forward. If I come to your session, I feel I'd be wasting your time. Give the time to someone else who's where I was last week.
Brilliant.
Isn't that great? So one session.
Absolutely.
Strong statement, John.
So what's the third one, John? Wasting time. I'm fascinated. What do you mean? How would I know you're not wasting my time?
You know, because I mean, you know, obviously going to see a therapist or going to see a worker, you park a car, don't you, or get on the bus and walk a long way or whatever. You know, is it going to be someone who's just going to go, yes, oh dear, sorry. You know, I mean, you know, we've all met counsellors from other traditions that don't get down to brass tacks, you know, and I'm sorry to say, but there is a particular modality which says there in the first session, let's spend a couple of sessions getting to know each other before we get down to business. I'm sorry, you've lost it, because a client who's suicidal will give one session. They're giving us one chance. And that's backed up by some horrendous statistics. And that is something like 55% of people who suicide have consulted with a practitioner of some sort or other within the previous 4 weeks.
Wow.
Now, what does that say?
So over half of the people.
Over half.
Wow. I'm digesting at the moment.
Yeah, let's all take a minute to digest on our live chat, shall we? Can I just ask a really quick question from Professor Gil Green, and then we'll go back over to Rob again. John, any thoughts about the unique positive effects of SFT on the brain? So solution-focused therapy on the brain. Yes, there's been some wonderful brain research here, hasn't there? And you know, I can't remember the technology, but you know, it's been shown that through solution-focused questioning, the person on the end of solution-focused questioning, when their brain is wired up to various equipment, and I won't get technical because I've forgotten the terms, you can actually see a certain area of the brain light up, and which explains why clients look brighter as they're on the receiving end of solution-focused questions, and explains why they put into practice their homework, whether it be something to do, notice, or think about. And in contrast to those who are on the end of a battery of problem-focused questions, and you actually see the brain dull down, and they actually look more forlorn and despairing. And no surprise that they don't do much work between sessions. So the effect of solution-focused questioning on brain activity is well documented, and there's some wonderful research been done by, although he's not solution-focused, Bessel van der Kolk, Mind and Body something. I can't remember the exact title. I've got a copy here somewhere, I think. Yes, The Body Keeps the Score. And he talks about the effects of how we can have on the brain. And, you know, there's neurogenesis and laying down of new neural pathways and stuff, etc. So, yes, I mean, that's the evidence is there.
It's great.
Oh.
Rob?
Yes, 2 questions really, because I've known John a long time. We've been around for a while. So, I mean, what do you think or do you feel the strength of our UK community is? And in terms of moving forward, we talked about IACT and influencing services. What do you see as the next kind of crucial step in that progression, really?
Yeah, I wish I had the answer to that, Rob. I don't know. I think we're weaker than we were 20 years ago. There's lots of little pockets of practice. There's been lots of solution-focused practitioners that were within NHS mental health services that have fled, and they're in private practice. Yeah, I know.
My private practice fled,
yeah, they couldn't take it any longer, you know, and that's a tragedy, you know. And there were wonderful services and areas of best practice and centres of excellence. And I think we just got to keep chipping away, you know, and trying to persuade budget holders and CCGs to look at it, you know, and say, well, look, this is the evidence base. But of course, you can get stuck into that research trap, you know. Any of us could run off and do some research and come back and say, I've got it, I've got the evidence, here it is. And the criticism people, well, sorry, the cohort wasn't large enough. Or I think there might have been experimental bias. Or I think you need to get a replicated study to see if the same results. You know, so I think you can be on a hiding to nothing going down that route. But another approach is to really expose the outmoded biomedical psychiatric paradigm. You know, it's on a losing wicket ethically. There's a real ethical dilemma here. And so much of the body politic of biomedical psychiatry take this approach. They don't listen to the research, you know, and this idea that there's some fault with our brain, we know it's a myth. It has been shown to be a complete hoax. And you know, Joanna Moncrief in her 2008 book on it just exposes it, and so many papers expose this fault in the brain myth. And yet, you know, I was talking to a colleague last week who said, guess what, John, I had a client come to see me today, and she said, I'm on this antidepressant and the doctor said I got a fault with my brain and I need this antidepressant for the rest of my life. It's a tragedy, you know. Where did that GP get that information from? Of course, big pharma. It's in their interests. It's a big business, you know, £500 million a year. You know, it's a big industry. And we know it causes so much harm, you know. So I think we need to challenge that more forthrightly rather than just accept the deaths as we have been. Well, I have been for 40 years.
Yeah. And in terms of anything exciting coming up, John, anything that you're, you know, thinking, yes, I'm really looking forward to this, or there's something piquing your interest?
Sort of related to that. I won't go too much into it. We've got a website coming out it's been live next week, and it's capda.live. Which stands for Campaign Against Psychiatric Drug Abuse. And the website is a landing point, if you like, for professionals and service users and those with lived experience to share their experiences and join the campaign to bring an end to this approach. And our target really is partnership NHS Trusts who are defending the biomedical paradigm and ignoring all the alternative arguments. And we've had one success with someone who lost a close relative to polypharmacy, and the relative was made far worse as a result of all this and eventually couldn't cope any longer and took his life. The case has been won. and we are looking for more cases to be won. And my hope is that, and Lucinda Lidstone, who is my colleague in this campaign, we hope to cost, and it sounds a terrible thing to say, we hope to cost NHS mental health services in excess of £12 million in payouts of damages, which will make finance directors sit up and say, look, we can't carry on with this. Are we exposed? So we want policy change at local trust level and also at government level. And we've had stories are coming in daily now of terrible things happening. And there's one trust that I've had 4 stories in as many weeks of terrible practice. Unbelievable, you would not believe it. In 2021, horrendous practice where people are worse than when they went in to the service. So there's a possibility of a class action suit there.
Wow.
Rob, did you want to? Sorry, Joe. Rob, did you want to?
You might say, what's solution focused about this? Well, the solution focused bit about this is for 40 years, campaigners for reforming mental health services have tried many approaches.
Yeah.
Crisis intervention services, early intervention, family therapy clinics, community mental health centres. One by one, they've disappeared and been replaced by a medical approach. So that hasn't worked. So what do we do when something doesn't work in solution focus? We do something different. And that's what this is about. And we've lost Joe.
That's all right. It's not a key figure in this.
Oh,
Rob
Joe.
and I are, and so are you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did for.
Rob, did you want to? I think you wanted to jump in there.
I mean, I totally agree with John. I just think that it's just a nonsense that we've not been accepted in that field. I mean, that's my frustration when I worked in the NHS. It's like my outcome, I'm being a bit modest, but my outcomes were as good as anything within our team. But I was told I couldn't work in that way, which is a complete nonsense. And I'm not saying that what we do is the best way, but you have to give clients choice. And I think what we offer is as good, if not better, than all the other approaches. So while we're not given that platform, because I've proved the effectiveness of what we do time and time again, and it's still not recognised. And I still do not understand that. It just makes no sense at all. No sense.
And maybe not something we can discuss now, but I've always felt that once our approach puts the client in the role of expert, it kind of makes everyone who thinks they're experts a bit redundant.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's that. And our expertise is in co-constructing solutions or looking at alternative. And maybe we don't give ourselves enough credit for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. And at the same time, we are collaborating with the client, but at the same time, we are looking up to their expertise on how they're going to make progress with this. And we have expertise in doing that, but in the end of the day, it's the client that does it, isn't it? And I've had clients who say to me, "Oh, thank you ever so much. You know, I feel so much better now. I'm living my life's back on track. Thank you. You've been so much help." And I say, "Well, you know, I've had to correct you there. All I've been doing is asking you questions. It's you've been putting it all into practice between the sessions that we've been spreading out. So you must take the credit."
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
What a lovely way to end.
I mean, this could go on for quite a few hours, and
We're not finished. Doesn't time fly when you're enjoying yourself?
I know, and I haven't been doing. I've got to confess, as much admin in the background as I usually would, because I'm really listening, and for once I can't multitask because I'm just like wow, and learning so much. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Any last words from you, Rob, and then Joe, and then John, and then I'll close.
My internet was just a nightmare, but it was just great to see John. I've known John for many a year. We've spent many a time at a conference comparing notes, Malmo. I don't know. I did in his field of inspiration.
Occasional celebratory beer.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah.
This is orange. by the way.
Or Ribena.
Yes. we hasten to add.
Yeah. What John referred to in terms of what he's pushing forward now is just so important, and I think, I've been doing this, like I said, 24 years. I still get so frustrated that we're still not acknowledged and on the same kind of, the score sheet as every year. That would be really important and makes no sense. No cost. In the current pandemic, surely there should be, people should be reaching out to try and grab solution focus, I think, personally. Anyway.
It would make sense.
It's been an absolute pleasure, John and Rob. Thank you so much for this, because it's an end of a long day for us, for me and Aisha, I guess you guys as well.
And Rob.
And
John.
Rob. And do you know what a lovely way to end the day, because I feel more inspired, and because you're working at that sharp end where people say this cannot possibly have an effect. And
it does.
Listen.
And it's it's about language. And I can recall a time when I was in CAMS, I was on call, and I got a call from it was a youth worker. She had this young person in the centre who didn't want to talk to me. But she said, but she'll talk to you through me. So, okay, and she said, well, she's really suicidal. I said, okay, so can you just get a sense of how long she's been feeling this way? The youth worker went, he wants to know how long you've been feeling this way. But 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Okay, can you just ask her then? Okay, so given that it's been really, really difficult and she's been struggling, how she's coped over the last 2 weeks? Youth worker said to the client, he wants to know why you haven't killed yourself.
Right.
No, I didn't actually say that. That's not the question I asked. It's just those little nuances of language, which we take for granted, I guess, as practitioners, but people just don't seem to get that. Do you know what I mean? The importance of the formulation of a question and the word you use and the importance of that. For me, that's what excites me about SF, which I said when we spoke. It's how you use words and language. And the minutiae of that, because it's so important, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic work, John. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. And Rob.
Did you talk about what's your exercise, John, with your workshop in Malmo many years ago I came to? Oh, God, it's like a scaling exercise, but it kind of reduces the scale. It's the pressure tank thing. You talk about
the solution-focused feelings tank.
That's the one.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's so powerful. I mean, and especially for young people, and simply it's just like a water butt you'd have in the garden,
It's like reducing, probably.
And whatever the strong negative feeling is, whether it's anger, frustration, disappointment, embarrassment, whatever it is, you can say, well, this is the tank. What level are you at now? And what would you need to do to run off 1% between now and when we meet next time? And it's a very empowering tool, because the client's hand is on the tap and not ours. And when they come back, they've run off some of this negative feeling.
John,
in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. We're going to steal that, John. We're honest thieves.
We are honest thieves. Rob knows that.
No, give it away.
No.
Rob knows that. Joe, did you get the name of the book? I know it's on the thing. Can you order it, please?
It's a great book. You should.
Yeah. It's Rob, you'll have to get another one. We're on the 2nd edition now. 5 new chapters.
Okay.
You're going to miss out, Rob. I'm going to read it.
So we need to get the 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The blue one.
We shared the lift up to your workshop in Malmo. Do you remember that in the hotel?
I do, yeah. I do.
Happy days.
Happy day.
We've got a couple of quotes. So Asha, Joe, John, and Rob. It was very nice wording for me to empower myself. From someone in the community. A quick question from Gil. John, do you have any video examples of your work?
Sadly, no, I don't. I had when I was working in the NHS mental health services, I had a few videos, but of course, when I left, they're the property of the trust.
He's not going to like that.
They're not. Actually, no. Wait a minute. I do. I did a workshop in Łódź in Poland a few years ago, and we did a video of someone really going for the full Oscar and being highly suicidal, and it was through a translator. And it was a really good video. Now, I have asked for it before, but he's still trying to find it. But if they drop me an email through the website, then I can have another word and see if I can get hold of it.
Tell them that Aisha wants it.
And Aisha wants it too. Yes.
Aisha wants it, and you don't want her to call you.
No.
And the thing is with Gil, he likes to collect these videos. He's got an amazing library of videos. I love him dearly. Yeah, and for him, so he obviously really, really loves you, John, and respects you. If he wants to add you to his collection, I mean, you can't deprive Gil of that.
Can't deprive Gil. Yeah. No,
Gil, I'm rooting for you, Gil. I'm rooting for you. Remember
I'll have another chat with Jacek in Łódź.
Yeah, Jacek, remember that. Share this with him. So
did you guys meet John at Bath then 2 years ago?
We did, yeah. I mean, John clearly remembers me.
Yeah.
No,
John was bowled over. Well,
yeah, that
blown away.
Don't start with the Bath thing again, Rob, because you know what I'm going to say. When's the next one, Rob?
Yeah.
See?
That took the most emotional energy and organisation.
I tell you what we can do. We can do a mini one, and we just have you send out an email, Rob. This is the bar we're meeting at on this evening. Whoever can attend.
To be honest, I loved it. It was great to organise, and there were two fantastic events. But I've never felt so emotional. I mean, yeah.
Just find a bar.
Yeah.
Or maybe a virtual one, Rob.
No.
I know it's not the same.
Just find
weird.
one pub.
Going
Yeah,
up
it'd be a good reunion, if nothing else.
Going up there today to Bath Spa University, I'm just thinking, 2 years ago, we were all outside in the sunshine. And
It was amazing. And I remember you, Rob, just kind of running around from room to room. I actually remember that.
What really blew my mind at that Bath event was I was sharing a stage with Lucy Johnston, who was my hero from the 1980s, from the book she wrote, Users and Abusers of Psychiatry. And I remember I was a manager of services at the time, and I read the book and I thought, we're doing this to people here now, and I'm managing the service. And she's been at it for ever since that time. That was, I think, 1988. And she's doing some amazing work now with the power threat meaning framework. And she's doing a podcast for ASC Clinic in Southend with Lucinda Lidstone, my colleague in the CAPDA, which is going to be great. And I think she's going to be talking about her work on formulation as well, which is a challenge to biomedical psychiatric formulation. It's an alternative, which is more respectful of the client.
See, I didn't realise that, John. When we kind of got you two together, I didn't realise that was the case. That's something I've learned.
Yeah, always reveal it on FBS Chat there, Rob.
That's fine.
Exclusive.
But we can do partnerships, so that we get all the good people. You see.
Yeah, she's great.
We've got to say goodbye. John, would you like to say anything before I close?
I think any newbies or newcomers to solution focused, you know, to just encourage them as much as I can, and to say that most textbooks are that thick. You know, they're thin, they're half an inch. You know, I've got a whole bookshelf of solution-focused textbooks, and they're mostly that thickness. Yeah, easy to read, easy to follow.
Steve's a big one, John.
Even the bigger ones,
No,
psychobabble-free.
Steve's a bigger.
Yeah, jargon-free. You know, they're easy to read. And the techniques, okay, it's simple approach, not easy to apply, but with practice you can apply it. And most of the books will have dialogue. And to borrow something from Peter de Jong in America, he was asked this question: how can you become better as a solution-focused practitioner? And he says, simply get hold of a textbook where there's dialogue. He said, put some paper over what the therapist says, see what the client says, and then try and guess what the next line is, the solution-focused question that the therapist will ask. And then keep doing that, and you'll get better and better at it. And eventually you'll see that the question you've hidden, the solution-focused practitioner's intervention is very near your own.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's my next training.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
What was that, Rob?
It'll be my next training exercise. That's a new one. Make some dialogue.
Yeah.
And ask for questions.
Yeah.
You can do that at the next event in Bath.
In Bath. Yeah.
Well, they've been two good events, but
we're going to just pick a pub. We'll all meet at that pub, and we'll just declare it as that's the SF event.
Right. We'll do.
No organising needed. Date, time, venue. Finished.
Okay, we'll do that then. That's basically John. I've not seen him since Bath, and we go back many years. And
Yeah, Taunton to Bath on the train is an hour and 5 minutes.
No, but
Not a
we've
problem.
been Preston, Amsterdam, Malmo, these lovely places. So, and you're an inspiration. You've always have been for me. So that's
We have bounced ideas off each other over many years.
we have. Right.
Well, we have come. Sorry, go on, Rob.
Which is what I love about our community. It's like I said before, it's an open source. People share. And take.
Very giving. A very giving community. And Joe and I have learned so much through not just FBS chats, but you know, the events, the through this lockdown, through everything, and all the training we've been on. It's such a giving community that you can't help but fall in love with it, and you can't help but be addicted to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, I'm in awe of both your work and a lot of people's work who I've met and I've spoken to. It's absolutely amazing. But we are at the end. I'm sorry, guys. Can I just ask you both to just hang in there so we can say thank you personally? And everybody else, tomorrow evening, it's a full-on FBS chat week. We have 7 p.m. GMT time, people. I need to remember to say that. It's Ella Dion, the beautiful Ella Dion. And Friday, we have at 5 p.m. GMT. Sorry?
Matthew Seligman.
Yes.
Matthew Seligman.
Yeah. Rob knows more than we do.
Yeah, Matthew Seligman.
I'm on it.
Matthew Seligman, and I don't know if he's listening to this, but he actually likes me.
Oh,
He's going to be like, Ice, you're brilliant. Ice, you're brilliant. Ice, you're brilliant.
Yeah.
All of that, you know.
I love both those people. So I met Ellie in Amsterdam and Matthew. I've not met him personally, but 50%. He's back in the day.
Oh, look. Ella said, "Lovely to see you here again and hear you again."
I see you, Ella. Yeah, great.
And we'll be seeing you tomorrow, Ella. So,
ask her if she's keeping it loose.
Okay.
Ella, I can't repeat that, but you heard it. So I don't know what he's referring to, but this is Rob, so it could be anything. Even I know now, it can go anyway.
Stay loose, I think it is. Keep it loose, stay loose. It was a Dutch
Keeping loose, stay loose. Yeah, both of you stay there. Everybody else, we will see you tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.